Kayla Montano died on March 25, 2022, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her case became one of the high-profile instances of gun violence involving minors and a tragic example of a fatal error that claimed a human life. At the time of her death, Kayla was 28 years old. The events of that day began as a routine outing. Kayla was in a vehicle with several family members: her fiancé, her 7-year-old daughter, her brother, and his girlfriend. The group was heading to the Top Golf Entertainment Center. On the way, they decided to stop at a Maverick gas station. Their vehicle, a black SUV, pulled up to a gas pump and came to a stop. At that very moment, armed teenagers were already lying in wait nearby. According to the investigation, 3 of the teenagers were hiding behind adjacent gas pumps, anticipating the arrival of a vehicle they believed was linked to a robbery that had occurred earlier that same day. As soon as Kayla's SUV came to a halt, the teenagers opened fire. Before we continue, I want to say one quick thing. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories like this, please support the channel. Your subscription and like are a silent but very important support that inspires us to create new videos for you. Thank you for being here. And now, let's continue. The shooting began without warning. Approximately 30 shots were fired at the vehicle. The shots were fired from close range. Bullets pierced the vehicle's bodywork and windows, striking the people inside. Kayla was inside the vehicle at the moment of the attack. One of the bullets struck her in the face. The wound proved fatal. Her fiancé was also wounded. A bullet grazed his forehead. Despite this injury, he remained conscious and was able to react. He hit the gas and drove the vehicle out of the line of fire. This moment proved pivotal. Thanks to his actions, the other passengers survived. The child, Kayla's brother, and her brother's girlfriend were physically unharmed. However, all of them became direct witnesses to the attack. Following the shooting, the attackers made no attempt to approach the vehicle. They did not check the condition of the victims, nor did they make any contact with them. This confirms that their specific objective was to open fire on the suspected vehicle, rather than to commit a robbery at the scene. The motive behind the attack came to light later during the investigation. Earlier that same day, prior to the shooting, a group of teenagers had fallen victim to a robbery. One of them, Diamond Salazar, had her mobile phone stolen. She attempted to track the device using its geolocation feature. According to her data, the phone was located near the spot where Kayla's vehicle later came to a stop. Salazar pointed out a black SUV to her associates, mistakenly identifying it as the robber's getaway vehicle. This decision proved to be a pivotal factor. The teenagers failed to conduct any further verification. They made no attempt to confirm that the occupants of the vehicle were, in fact, the individuals they were seeking. Instead, the decision was made to open fire. Thus, the attack was the result of a mistaken target identification. Following the incident, the police launched an investigation. Surveillance footage from the gas station was seized. These recordings enabled investigators to reconstruct the sequence of events, pinpoint the shooters' positions, and establish their identities. Ballistic evidence and witness statements were also collected. One of the key witnesses was Kayla's fiancé, who had been behind the wheel. The investigation established that 5 individuals were involved in the attack. The primary figures in the case are Esteban Lucero, the primary shooter. He was 15 years old at the time of the crime. Diamond Salazar, the instigator who identified the vehicle; Adam Cedillo, one of the shooters; Ty Gallegos, an accomplice who participated in the shooting; Caprice Cecilia, an accomplice. The investigation determined the specific role played by each participant. Lucero was identified as the primary shooter. According to the prosecution, he was responsible for firing a significant majority of the shots. The video footage clearly shows that he continued to fire even after it became evident that the victims were offering no resistance. The shooting ceased only after he ran out of ammunition. The prosecution cited this fact as evidence of a high degree of aggression and a complete lack of any attempt to desist. Diamond Salazar did not participate directly in the shooting, but her actions were classified as orchestrating the attack. It was she who identified the vehicle, thereby setting in motion the chain of events. Adam Cedillo and Ty Gallegos also opened fire on the car. Caprice Cecilia was present during the attack. However, her role was assessed differently. During the trial, the charges against her were dropped in exchange for her cooperation with the investigation. The legal proceedings spanned several years. By early 2025, all key participants had received their sentences. Estevan Lucero was sentenced to 22 years in prison. Diamond Salazar received a 19-year prison sentence. Adam Cedillo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. His sentence was handed down in February 2025. Ty Gallegos also received a 10-year prison sentence. Caprice Cecilia avoided punishment as part of her cooperation agreement with the prosecution. The court took the defendants' ages into account. However, the gravity of the crime, murder involving the use of firearms, proved to be the decisive factor in determining the sentences. The case generated significant public outcry. The primary reason for this was a confluence of factors: a case of mistaken identity regarding the target, the involvement of minors, the use of firearms, the high volume of shots fired, the presence of a child among the victims. Particular attention was drawn to the speed with which the decision to resort to violence was made. Only a minimal amount of time elapsed between the alleged identification of the target and the opening of fire. This points to a complete lack of situational assessment and the impulsive nature of the actions taken. Another significant factor was the use of phone tracking technology. In this instance, it played a negative role, as the interpretation of the data proved to be erroneous. This underscores the fact that digital information requires verification and cannot serve as the sole basis for decision-making. The consequences for Kayla's family proved to be long-lasting. Her daughter suffered severe psychological trauma. According to reports, following the incident, the child experienced a prolonged fear of riding in cars. The family was forced to leave Albuquerque. The reasons for this were not only the emotional repercussions, but also a general sense of insecurity. Kayla's fiancé survived, though he sustained an injury and became a key witness in the case. His actions during the attack were instrumental in saving the others. This case is viewed as a tragic example resulting from a confluence of several factors: mistaken identity, the possession of weapons by teenagers, impulsive behavior, a failure to verify information. From a legal standpoint, the case demonstrates that minors can face serious criminal liability for violent felonies. Even for those aged 15 to 17, courts may impose lengthy prison sentences. This is particularly true in cases where the crime involves violence and results in the loss of life. This concludes the factual summary of the case.